Some students call them smart pills or brain steroids. Adderall and Ritalin are legal stimulants prescribed for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, in ever greater numbers. Now, for years now, students who don't have that problem have been taking the drugs for a competitive edge. But the problem is growing.
DeSantis, a communications professor at the University of Kentucky, says he was so baffled by his students' casual use of Adderall, he decided to study it.
If you were to ask what percentage of juniors and seniors are using ADHD stimulants, the number is well above 50, pushing 60%. And then if you add in juniors and seniors who are in fraternities and sororities, the number is up about 80%. I think one of the most fascinating aspects to come out of this research was how stigma-free Adderall or ADHD stimulant use is. The students don't view it as something bad or something harmful or something negative. They actually view it as something similar to a stiff cup of coffee. And in fact, our research showed that many of our students view Adderall to be far safer than cigarettes and beer, for example.
That's pretty shocking. Safer than beer.
Safer than beer. One thing that's really interesting, when I questioned the students about this, I said, are you worried about the long-term impact of this use? Most students fall back on kind of the same logical argument. They say, hey, listen, I grew up in a grade school where, there were hundreds of kids running around on ADHD medication. They started when they were 8 or 9, and, now they're 15, 16, 19, or 20, and they're fine. If long-term impact of ADHD stimulants hasn't affected Bobby or John, why should they affect me in my occasional use?
Stimulants like Adderall and Ritalin can be addictive. So much so, they're in the same class of drugs as cocaine.
We all want to believe that we are under control to justify whatever we want to do. The reality is there are side effects of these drugs. One of them is addiction, but another one can be psychosis. So it's not worth the risk to be playing with a drug that has potentially very adverse effects.
In a capitalist market society where performance is so strongly valued, I think the desire to use these kind of drugs is going to be enormous, and the real ethics problem is going to be the pressure to do it, even if you didn't want to. Somebody's going to say, at this company, everybody takes this pill. We're a little smarter than the next guys. You want to work here? Open up your mouth. Right now, we don't have anybody even saying, you shouldn't take these drugs. We don't want to see them used for exams. Where's the condemnation? It's just going on all over the place and no one's speaking out about it.
Why do you think that's the case?
I think a lot of colleges don't want to admit that they've got kids doing this. They don't want to fess up. So I think there's a reluctance to speak up because they don't want to be first.
21 million prescriptions written a year for these ADHD drugs. What % are actually legit?
Well, there's a large percentage of them that are legit because they're really good medications for children who need them. The problem is that a lot of kids are learning the buzzwords, and the parents are learning the buzzwords of what to ask, what to say their child is suffering from in order to get the prescriptions because they think it's going to give them an edge. But really, that's not the case.
So Jen, what do they get? Is there a temporary edge and then it hurts? You see this as well.
Yeah, we do, and I think that it's not a temporary edge. They do see that it helps them become laser focused and really able to hone in on the things they need to hone in on to perform better on tests, to do their homework more effectively, to be better athletes even. And so they are short-term gains, but long-term potential risks, right? There could be a lot of health risks, heart problems, sleep problems, mood disorders that come up. And then they need to use more and more and more. Building tolerance could be a gateway to other drugs. So there's a lot of risk in doing this.
When you think about the playing field, though, and you think about how competitive it is for children in schools right now, parents might say, but why would I give my child a disadvantage by not putting them on this medication? And what do you say to that?
So the question is, why are we putting such pressure on our children? Obviously, any parent, I'm a parent too, we want our kids to maximize their potential, but we don't want them to feel the need to be superhuman, right? So you want them to be able to do what they can do, what's within their realm of capacity.